Thank you very much for staying with us on TVC Breakfast. Well, as Nigerians grapple with petrol challenges, the price dispute raises concerns for many who've already seen fuel costs triple since the subsidy was removed in May of 2023. While Nigerians have been dependent on imported fuel, which continues to rise due to dollar rates, the production of locally refined fuel may have paved the way for a cheaper and faster accessibility to the premium motor spirit. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria has now called for competitive pricing to ensure Nigerians benefit from locally refined products while promoting the success of the Dangote refinery, which is expected to reach its full capacity by the end of the year. They also stressed that selling Dangote products at a higher rate than imported products undermines the nation's goal of petrol self-sufficiency. So joining us now via Zoom is the team lead Platforms Africa, Adetola Yusuf. Good morning and thanks for joining us again. Right, so this...
Thank you so much. Good morning. My pleasure to be on the program.
Good morning. Good to see you indeed. Right, so talking about the back and forth between Dangote refinery and its sole customer at the moment, at least from Nigeria, that's NNPCL, there's been so many controversies. How do you interpret, the back and forth?
Okay, thank you very much. We have been saying it from the beginning of this episode that every day we keep having revelation upon revelation. And my interest should be, or the interest of all Nigerians should be, that revelation should take us to, the El Dorado, where we'll have the crude oil, the petrol refined from crude oil, sourced from this country, sold to Nigerians at a rate that is, competitive, and there won't be anything like queuing up for this product, for years, for days that we have been experiencing for years. Remember that when the Dangote refinery started, a lot of misconceptions, were flying around as to whether immediately the refinery, start producing premium motor spirit, which is petrol, the prices will come down and all that and all that. And I've said this repeatedly, that Nigerians are kept in the dark when it comes to the real issues in the Nigerian oil and gas industry. I don't know the reason for that, and I don't know whether that's done deliberately or not. But fact established, Nigerians are kept in the dark. We do not understand a lot of things, and those that are supposed to explain a lot of things for us do not explain a lot of things for us. Now, to talk about where we are now, the Dangote refinery, like I've usually been saying, that was one of the programs I came here to do that, a clip of it went viral, where I said that Dangote has never for once been under any obligation to make petrol, cheaper for Nigeria. He's a businessman. That fact has to be established. But despite the fact that he's not under any obligation, he's a Nigerian, out of his own volition. He can say, okay, let's look at ways around. But the best way the government can go about this whole episode is to make sure that our own refineries, the 445,000 barrels capacity refineries, 4 of them spread across the country, 2 in Port Harcourt, 1 in Warri, 1 in Kaduna. The best government can do for us now is to make sure that those refineries who are working, the best way in the elementary economics to beat price down is to ensure that the supply is more than the demand. When there is competition, definitely things will go well, the way of Nigeria. It shouldn't be good. I know that Dangote doesn't have the impression of ensuring a monopoly in this, even though a lot of people have accused him of that. And he has come out to say there's nothing like monopoly. But truly, if the government is able to put the 4 refineries back to shape, there'll be competitive. There'll be healthy competition, and that would definitely affect, the pricing of the product and the availability of the product. And when I talk of the product now, I mean the premium motor spirit. So
and where would that leave Dangote if it comes out that Nigerians are better served when the refineries are up and running? Where would that leave Dangote refinery?
Okay, so fact that has to be established now is that a lot of people usually talk about Nigeria as the biggest producer of crude oil in Africa. But majority of people do not know that Nigeria is the biggest consumer of refined products in Africa. This is a country of over 200 million people. How many, there are some countries in Africa that can match about 10 of them together, or you can match about 5 of them together, or 2 of them together, and the population will still not be up to the population of Nigeria. So Nigeria is a huge consumer of this product. So Dangote refinery is producing, if Nigeria, the 4 refineries are producing, if the Walter Smith refinery is producing, if all other modular refineries are producing, it is going to be better for Nigeria. In fact, it is going to earn us more because, aside from the fact that Nigeria will supply Nigeria and earn money from Nigeria, I'm talking of the supply of the refined product to Nigeria. Neighboring countries are lacking this. Remember that a lot of petrol that are imported into the country until this arrangement were being smuggled out to the Republic of Benin, were being smuggled out to Niger Republic. What this tells you is that those countries too are in need of this refined product. So if we are refining a mass, if we are refining hugely in Nigeria, it is going to, even give us, foreign exchange earnings. So there is no issue about whether Dangote will, if Dangote is on board and Nigerian refineries on board to operate. In fact, it is a solution that we have been clamoring for, and it's a solution that I am even nudging the president. I know the president has a very good intention for Nigeria, but let him just focus on ensuring that, if possible, let them declare a state of emergency in the Nigerian refineries.
All right, before we focus on, having those refineries working, we've been on this for so many years, and I will obviously not want us to deviate from the issue of pricing, which Nigerians are more interested in. Where does this leave the consumers? This back and forth with Dangote pricing and the NNPC's pricing, and help us understand the idea behind Borno having to sell 1,019 naira per litre. And in Lagos, 950. What's the difference?
Oh, okay, thank you very much. To start with, it is important for us to understand that the arrangement we have now is that the government has been supplying and has been supplying through NNPC Dangote refinery crude oil, and by October 1st, the exchange of that transaction will be in naira, but the exchange of transaction has before now been in dollars. Now, the government now has started through NNPC again, has started lifting petrol from Dangote. Remember, Dangote started, the refinery started producing petrol, after many months of, production of diesel. Now, if the NNPC will stop importation of this product because of the Dangote refinery arrangement, what that means is that, I've been saying it several times, we have to depend on the production cost at the Dangote refinery. It's a huge mess that I don't believe that we'll be able to, unwrap, easily like this. But to make it, clearer for Nigerians listening to us, you see, Nigeria has, aside from the production we are doing that we export in the OPEC basket, Nigeria has local production, arrangement. And that local production arrangement is to be, allocated to the 4 refineries that Nigeria has, 445,000 capacity. So 445,000 capacity, barrels of crude oil are being allocated to refineries daily. But because of the fact that our refineries that are supposed to be refining these products are not working, in fact, none of them has worked in the last 1 year, and more than that, let me just put the statistics like that. So those 445,000 barrels of crude are being exported through a crude swap arrangement. They call it direct purchase. Now that Dangote arrangement is now here, the clamor now is that because of those things are local obligation, those 445,000 are local obligation, the government should not be exporting them to be importing refined product. Because by that arrangement before now, we have been giving jobs to refineries abroad. So that has been the arrangement. So with that now, there is this there is this production cost. Everyone understands the production cost. That after the amount that Dangote has been able to buy crude oil from NNPC, after the refined and other margins that they have done, the amount that they used to complete that product is 68 naira, if I'm not mistaken that I mean, over 800 naira.
Right.
So remember that before 2 weeks ago, when NNPC, reviewed the pricing that made it to be, or come up to that, we were buying petrol around 85 naira. So what that means is that the production cost at Dangote refinery is even higher than the amount we were buying it some weeks ago. So there is that need for realignment, and that was what made NNPC now, based on their agreement, that they will now start lifting the petrol from Dangote to come up with the new pricing regime, and to now explain the differentials between the amount that the product will sell in Lagos and the amount that the product will sell in Maiduguri. What that means is that because Lagos is where Dangote refinery is located, there's this what they call the transport margin, because of the fact that they have to another issues that we have in the industry is that our pipelines are not working. Normally, what they ought to have done is to ship that to our jetty, and from that jetty pump it through the pipeline to Maiduguri. But now they will have to depend on trucks, and those trucks, remember that if a truck wants to take a product to a filling station in Lagos, the amount of petrol or diesel that truck will use will be more than taking it from Lagos to Maiduguri. So those are the margins that they have to read that to make the price in Maiduguri to be higher than that of Lagos. It's just depending
with that
on
calculation,
the margins that they have added.
Right, and with all the explanations that you've given, is there justification? Do you think there is justification for NNPCL to be the sole customer right now? Because, of course, we are seeing the oil marketers grumbling that it's not going to help the market in terms of enhancing competition for the benefit of Nigerians.
Okay, so there's no justification. But for some of us, I even understand this industry. I don't think it's something, even though it's a step forward, but I don't think it's something that we all should be happy with. That is not even the language I want to use. I don't think it's something that we should be overjoyous over, beyond. NNPC going to, lining up trucks to go and, pick products in Dangote refinery, when we have refineries that are supposed to be put back to shape. Do you understand? So, but whether we like it or not is a step forward, because until Dangote refinery started working in the last 2 years, no refinery has, refined product on Nigerian soil. The refineries that we have in Nigeria, they're not working. So it's a step forward. But, that is not our El Dorado. That's the word I've been looking for. That is not our El Dorado. Our El Dorado should be that the Nigerian refineries too should start producing. Dangote will source product from Nigeria. He will source crude oil from Nigeria. He source crude oil from outside. And when there is that competition, the price will come down. I'm talking from the perspective of the masses that have been suffering. Remember that on the morning of May 29, 2023, and in the morning of that day, petrol were being sold at 187 naira per liter. Today, petrol is being sold around 1,000 naira per liter. So that is not a good story at all for Nigerian masses that are facing.
But let's talk about, if you can hear me, let's talk about how, the production of fuel and the movement by the NNPC to distribute, how it will have an effect on, stabilizing the Naira. And a few weeks ago, NNPC to an extent admitted that there was a level of subsidy on fuel at that time, and which led to some of the debts that we see at this time. The price that we have currently, would you say to an extent it is still subsidized?
Okay, that is a question that NNPC would be in the best place to answer. And I give you my reason. The reason is that before this, statement you made now, became public, that NNPC has been subsidizing. In fact, I want to even disagree that there is nowhere that NNPC will say it has been subsidizing the petrol. They prefer that you call it differential and they call it under recovery. And that is where we have found ourselves. There is no clear-cut communication to the people. There is no truth. You understand? So the subsidy that you have even talked about, you have used your language. NNPC will disagree with you that they have not been subsidizing. What they have been doing is to take the burden and to be, taking care of the under recovery and the differential. But everyone knows that that thing has no other name better than the subsidy. But when those that have been subsidizing say they have not been subsidizing, what do you do? How do you go out and talk about that? At the end of the day, Nigerians who are citizens of a country that is the biggest producer of crude oil in the continent or in the sub-Saharan Africa will say queue up, will say buy fuel at higher prices. So what I would just say in essence is that the government should do better by communicating to the people. People will know how to manage. I've said it on your program, as a few weeks ago, that if we know where we are going, we will know how to prepare for it. If Nigerians are aware, if they are told that this is the true picture of things, things will be put in perspective. People will manage. Remember now that when we have issues of band A, band B, people now know how to, manage their, electricity, because that fact has been put on the table. So let government, they are doing, their best. No one can, dispute that. So even say that we are removing subsidy is a bold step. It's a huge step that takes serious political will. But let communication comes to play. If you are doing better for me and you don't let me know that you are doing better for me, I'll be blaming you. So government needs to do, work on that communication through the NNPC. Let there be clear and, clear-cut communication, deliberate communication, strategic communication as to what is really happening in that sector. And I think that will go a long way, in helping Nigeria to understand what is happening and to manage the resources at their hand.
All right. So the Presidential Committee in charge of determining pricing in Naira transactions in about a few weeks from now will commence, and Naira transactions basically will also commence as from October, talking about crude oil sold in Naira, as against what we're seeing now that, the mode of exchange was in the dollar. What do you think is likely to happen then in terms of pricing?
Okay, thank you very much. As someone that has been observing this industry, and as someone that has, I had an overdose of, disappointment from this industry. And the disappointment I'm talking about is that all those things are, they have made people like us that have been following this industry not to even do any serious forecast for what will happen tomorrow. Because in actual fact, you don't know what will happen tomorrow. So on that note, I won't want to even say anything about the planning, the presidential committee would. Let's wait for them, let them come with their plan, and from there we'll know what will happen. Because no one can say for sure what will be the outcome. And if we don't know the outcome of that, we can never even be able to, in good conscience, say the implication of what we do not even know will be the outcome.
And again, there is, all right, even though you've already said earlier on that until when we have the 4 refineries, national refineries up and running, that might be the time when we'll get to buy fuel at cheaper cost. I'll respect your decision on my earlier question, but let me see, what do you make of, another analysis, fears by marketers who say they've been shut out and that they're expecting, fresh shipments of imported, fuel in the markets as from today? What's the implication of that?
Thank you very much. And I'm very happy that you asked this question. That thing is so disheartening. There is this, trust deficit in the Nigerian system. And I've been talking about the aspect of the government. Let me talk to Nigerians too about our own aspect. We are so heartless when it comes to taking advantage of people. Remember that immediately NNPC announced that new pricing, the majority of the filling station, closed their shops. The majority of them shut their gate, expecting that, they will just immediately, despite the fact that some of them just had the stock, got the product from NNPC, in their tanks, they will just shut their gate, and after a few days, when people are suffering, they will now adjust the price and profiteer. Sell the product that they had, when the product was cheaper, sell it at higher price. Will you blame government for that? You cannot. So there is a lot going on too that, there is a lot of effort that we need to put into our consciousness. Nigerians too some Nigerians, because I should not generalize, but the masses that usually suffer that are Nigerians. So some Nigerians, maybe the marketers too, need to put patriotism into what they do. They will come out to defend, they come out to say this and that. They shouldn't allow Nigerians to be seeing them as people that are only interested in profit. They are Nigerians. I think the majority of them Nigerians. It's not all of them are Nigerians. The Nigerian project depends on all of us. They should try their best, and they'll be justified. If before now, when the product the product, but there was a time that the product price, decreased when they start this pricing regime. There was a time that NNPC reduced the pricing. Those filling stations, they did not sell at the new pricing. They said they need to finish their stock. So what happened that time that it shouldn't happen now? Why don't you finish your stock with the old price now before you start selling at the new price? But they will not do that. So I'm not their businessmen. No one can force them. But we are just pleading with them. So we are all Nigerians. We should ensure that there's that patriotism on the part of everybody. You understand? Those in government too, they are doing their best. They should keep doing their best. We should talk to them, but we should talk to us too. Because there is no way, those in government will be doing, effort, they'll be making efforts, and those of us here, if we are not supporting them, it will show. So I'm just pleading with those marketers too. They are trying their best too. We should put it that way. But let patriotism be the watchword for them in whatsoever they are doing. We cannot fault them for making profit because their businesses were set up to make profit. But patriotism should be their watchword.
All right, that's very correct. Patriotism should be their watchword. So many persons have also, raised that as regards the pricing of the Dangote field. But I'm sure the average Nigerian will be wondering how this is really going to affect, the cost of goods and services, and the fact that marketers are still saying that consumers should even expect about 1,200. From your own perspective, does it seem like this is the end of the increase in fuel, or we still have a lot more going on?
Okay. I like you, and I usually respect you, particularly with the way of trying to, put that question to me. But the way I usually answer is that, I try my best to avoid delving into what will happen tomorrow, particularly when it has to do with oil and gas industry. But on this one, to talk about the way you introduce that question, it is not that it's going to affect Nigeria. It has already started affecting Nigerians. Immediately, the NNPC announced that new price yesterday morning. The tough situation in the country too, became tougher. Those that have been moving around, except maybe people like you that are people, people that are moving around that depend on, public transport, there's already hike in the tea fare everywhere. Because those people that will, the transporters too, will need to go to the filling station and they're buying at higher prices. Some goods have already started having the effect. So it's going to be a multiplier effect, and we're already seeing that. So, but it will be somewhat so disheartening and so discouraging to say that this is likely not to be the end of this hike in the price, particularly the pricing regime. But the government have assured us that they are coming up with the October 1st arrangement of selling crude oil to Dangote in Naira. And I'm very sure that if Dangote gets the product in Naira, definitely that should affect the pricing, and affect it downward. But I'm someone that is so optimistic, and I'm someone that is, I'm so optimistic that things will be better. Things will be better. I'm only urging those in government, as much effort as they are exerting into this, let them communicate to Nigerians. Let Nigerians to be aware of what is happening. That will do them a lot of, service. It will, in fact, help recruit some Nigerians subconsciously or unconsciously to start being the advocates for them, to start talking to other Nigerians about them, particularly when those Nigerians really understand what is the true picture of things.
Right, and earlier on, Adetola, you spoke about the need for marketers, independent marketers, to be patriotic at this time. Of course, you've also established that, this is a business, where people like in Nigerian parlance now, big boys and I dare say women, dare to venture in. But with importation of fuel built to commence again today, from what we are reading, is it likely that that will be cheaper than what NNPCL is offering?
Okay. I am not very sure, because based on, if I look back, based on every variables on the table, there is not that likelihood that it's going to be cheaper than that of NNPC. For obvious reasons. One of such reasons is the fact that until now, NNPC has been the sole importer for some years, the sole importer of these products. And we know that the pressure, the burden, the financial burden that NNPC has been taking from that arrangement through the differential and under recovery, running into trillions of naira, can never be taken by any other private individual. So it is very, very unlikely that we get anything, outside of this NNPC arrangement, cheaper than that of NNPC arrangement. Right. Based on, like I said earlier, based on statistics available, based on experience that we have had before now, that was why I said that. And based on the fact that the major reason most of these importers have not been importing the product has been because of, they are being so conscious of their own profit margin. So that has been the, the case. So the fact had to be established now that I don't think that arrangement will be cheaper in any way than that of the NNPC.
All right, Adetola, Yusuf, Team Lead Platforms Africa, we thank you very much for speaking with us on TVC Breakfast.